If you got teens in the house, go get them. I'll wait. I am so serious. This is a show you need to watch with your teens.
You know, I can count on one hand the amount of times I've listened to help of Dr. Phil to introduce an America's Test Kitchen video, and that's 0 up until now, which is 1. So you know I'm not messing around with this one, and I won't do it again. But nevertheless, welcome to the Thrift Store Rundown, where we bring America's Test Kitchen home on a budget, although this time that's a term I'm using loosely. More on that later. For most folks, adulting isn't done in a vacuum. It's done in 3 multi-year stages. You probably begin full-on adulting when you reach your mid-20s, i.e. when you turn 25, much like the cast of Friends, whom you know I've grown to strongly like over the course of 2022. You begin building the building blocks of adulting when you turn 21, and you begin planning out those building blocks of adulting when you reach your teen years. Yet for all 3 of those processes, there's one critical stage that's the same. Getting one with the kitchen. It's your parents' kitchen today, but who knows, tomorrow it could be yours. When that time comes, you'll definitely want to keep this in mind. This is ATK'S complete cookbook for teen chefs, with over 70 teen-tested and approved recipes to cook, eat, and share. Here's a special sneak peek inside this complete cookbook for teen chefs. A primer on kitchen safety, essential equipment, basic knife skills, and of course getting one with the kitchen in general, we move on to 6 food chapters in here. Breakfast, snacks, lunch, dinner, sides, and sweets. Because we don't have any menus in here from which to walk from for this review, I'm just gonna go my usual MO and highlight 1 recipe per each chapter. Oh, we also have conversions and equivalents, recipe stats, those are all your nutritional information. A primer on the ATK team, and that's it. Alphabetical recipe index notwithstanding. It's a pretty packed book. Let's begin. So we start with breakfast, and by the way, the recipes for this review I'm focusing based upon more commonplace, trendy teen recipes that will suit the needs of today's modern young foodies in action. So here we have hearty avocado toast. This is a beginner recipe, and it's also vegetarian. This Barnes & Noble exclusive edition has a separate section at the end that focuses on vegetarian and vegan recipes, sans gluten-free. The levels of difficulty here range from beginner to intermediate to advanced. Easy, medium, and a little more complex, but no recipes in here are too hard to whip up with the help of a grown-up. We also have here Up Your Game. Those are flavor enhancements that can really give you some more kitchen street cred. In the case of avocado toast, you can add pickled red onions, crumbled cooked bacon, quarter cherry tomatoes, mashed beans, herbs, chili crisp, or even a fried egg, or your favorite spice blend. Anyway, we also have here recipe trivia, historical tidbits, and these sidebars here. This tells us all about texture and toppings. Each recipe tells you how many people will serve and how much time it takes to prep and cook in total. So there's your hearty avocado toast. Hey, any teen cookbook that starts with avocado toast is usually on the right track to success from the get-go, even though I'm not an avocado toast person per se. Moving on to lunch, pizza pockets. crispy pockets without a sleeve. Those are some real hot pockets. You can up your game by customizing them with broccoli and cheddar and ham and cheese. It's an advanced recipe that gives you photographic step-by-step instructions, as is the norm for several of the recipes in here that are a little more advanced in prep. But you see the finished photograph over here, that should make it all worth it. Up next, spicy burrito bowls in the lunch chapter. It's a beginner's recipe that's also vegetarian, as long as you choose to make it vegetarian. I wish they give you an instruction for adding meat in here, but hey, you do what you gotta do. Now, as was with the complete cookbook with young chefs, we have here a lot of feedback from the many teen testers that were enlisted to try the recipes and score them 80% or higher for the recipes to be included. So they're thanked at the beginning of the introduction. Adam, 17 years old, says that the spicy burrito bowls is really tasty and fast to make. So much better than fast food. Moving on to the next recipe in the dinner section. Most folks don't really begin adulting in the kitchen until they learn how to master spaghetti, in my judgment anyway. So here we have cacio e pepe, spaghetti with pecorino romano and black pepper. That'll serve for and take you about 40 minutes to do. It's an intermediate recipe, so it's in the middle. It's not too hard, but it's not all that easy. So, I think it's a nice gateway into the world of culinary adulting. Elias, 14 years old, says it was a cheesy, peppery experience. But of course, pecorino romano and freshly ground black pepper are the two cornerstones that make this dish so delicioso. Everyone who ate it enjoyed it thoroughly. But of course, this is America's test kitchen. And just as when they do it for young chefs, they want to make cooking fun and accessible for teen chefs as well. What about young adult chefs? Oh, that's going to be a bit more of a trickier challenge. But I think they'll be up for it eventually. For side dishes, we have classic, quintessential French fries. Advanced, vegetarian, crowd pleaser for generations. What's not to like? I should say that the beginning primer in this book teaches you how to fry like a master, safely and effectively. And here we have 3 photographic step-by-step instructions for cutting potatoes for French fries. And their preferred potato of choice, Yukon Gold, for the best taste and texture. And speaking of preferred ingredients and equipment, while the beginning of this book, and I should show the beginning really quickly, gives you a guide to essential equipment you'll need in the kitchen, when it comes to actual brand preferences, they're entirely absent from here. Same deal for essential ingredients for a lot of recipes in here. And that's actually a bit out of the norm for ATK because they're very clear on their favorite name brands for equipment and ingredients. You know, their tastings and testings, one of the cornerstones of ATK. Same deal applies to their public television series. Well, you don't get them in here. So I gotta ding them for that, even though I don't want to. But it is their usual MO. So, rules are rules. In the sweet section, we have here whoopie pies. Honorable mention would go to s'mores bars, your favorite campfire treat of marshmallows, chocolate bars, and graham crackers, and a lovely bar recipe. But these are whoopie pies. They're advanced, they're vegetarian, they're basically chocolate sandwich cookie cakes. And I've been waiting to say this for a long time. If you want to be the Soleil Moon Fry of your whoopie pie, shout out to Chef John at foodwishes.com. This is a delicious recipe to master. And speaking of Punky Booster, if you are of that variety, I have it on good authority that this goes highly well with a cup of freshly brewed joe. If you're allowed to do that. If not, then just have it at Starbucks. Nobody will know, especially when it's all covered up in a latte. With lots and lots of frothy topping. That makes 12 pies. It'll take you, wow, that's a pretty long time. 1 3/4 hours. But that looks scrumptious, so it should be worth it. It says keep going, keep going. We have photographic step-by-step instructions for filling a pastry bag and piping and filling your whoopie pies. Last recipe, sheet pan gnocchi with roasted tomatoes. This is in the exclusive vegetarian and vegan section. It's a beginner's recipe, and next to spaghetti, mastering gnocchi is also a nice gateway to culinary adulting. However, this, well, you might be cutting corners. It's always appreciated. I mean, if you're cooking just for yourself and for a date, per se, it's a nice substitute to have shelf-stable potato gnocchi, pre-made. Nevertheless, this serves 4, and it'll take you 45 minutes. If those 4 don't have the stunning, discriminating taste, potato gnocchi is your best bet. They don't give you a recipe for homemade gnocchi. But then again, y'all are teens. Or I assume most of you watching this review are teens who are getting primed for their debut in the kitchen pretty soon. I mean, if cooking is one of your New Year's resolutions heading into 2023, you definitely want to keep this around. ATK'S signature, time-tested, and of course, Stan approved, me being the lifelong Stan of America's Test Kitchen among so many other hardcore fans. Wisdom, advice, knowledge, history, all their culinary how-to is condensed in here in a very lively and chicly designed, if that's even a word, book. It's a little less chic for me. I wish this was a little more colorful, like the complete cookbook for young subs, which I bought, and we'll link in the description below if you want to check out that review. And of course, this is the team of America's Test Kitchen kids. Shout out, by the way, going to Jack Bishop, Chief Creative Officer, and Tasty Lab Expert for ATK and Cook's Country, and Editor-in-Chief Molly Bunbaum. The ATK Kids team gives some of their favorite recipes in here that you'll want to try at the end of this. Teen-tested, teen-approved recipes. Are you ready to level up your kitchen game? Learn how to make the perfect egg and cheese breakfast sandwich before school, and fluffy sticky buns on the weekend. Impress your friends and family with hearty grain bowls or amped up ramen for lunch, and hand-pulled noodles or sliders and french fries for dinner. Whether you're looking to make photo-worthy donuts or learn basic cooking techniques to get you started in the kitchen, the complete cookbook for teen chefs has something for everyone. This was purchased at Barnes & Noble for $21.99 in the US and $29.99 in Canada. However, it was purchased at said venue for an online price match, taking away 9% of the price, so I ended up paying $19.99. Of course, adding tax in the state of New Jersey, that comes up to 21 bucks in change. A 9% discount is kind of odd for me, and it's not really effective in terms of face value, but you know what, a discount is a discount. And I don't know if you call hitting a ride sale for the very first time as one of the more essential building blocks of pre-adulting, in my age stage anyway, being a newly minted 24-year-old. My birthday was on December 2nd, but I did actually get this after my very first Lyft ride. To and from. How about that? Anyway, final score? 4.5 out of 5 claps. You know, most folks can't lead a horse to water, but they can make it drink. With the power of this cookbook and some strong supportive guidance from your folks, I think anyone's going to be able to lead their teen into the kitchen and not only quench their thirst for knowledge and quell their appetite for success, but this should also, on a more critical angle, raise their foodie kitchen cred. I mean, come on. What part of this wouldn't you want to take advantage of to make your homies say ho and your girlies want to scream? Think about it. ATK's Teen Hunger Force. Number 1 in this hood, G. It always has been. Thanks for watching TSR. Now, to see another awesome review like this one, click here. If you want to become a Hollywood bargain hunter, click here to subscribe. And I'll catch you on the thrift side.